And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Today's session is, my presentation is going, the 5 predictors of real estate success or failure, featuring Richard Robbins, who's here on the other screen. So I'm really excited to see this. I know I get a lot of comments internally about what a great topic this was, especially right now. So as mentioned, feel free to chat, ask questions. I do remind you also that this webinar is being recorded, so you could rewatch this literally the moment. You could pause it in the middle of it if you needed to. But you will be receiving a recording of this webinar as well, so you can check that out. But stick with it, is what I would say. I always remind everybody of our promise and why we do this webinar. And our promise as Royal LePage is we'll help you maximize your earning potential by providing you with powerful business tools, access to leads and referrals, and training for all stages of your career that builds your skills. And of course, that's what we're doing today. These sales success webinars series were created to help enhance your sales development and really learn from the industry experts. And who better than Richard Robbins to come in and talk about that, and subjects that reflect what's happening in real estate going right now, which is great. I will point out that all of these can be found in the RLP network under training and webinar training. In fact, if you want to check out the redesigned webinar library, you should definitely check that out. You can now click by presenter, topic, air date, all that stuff. And I'll highlight here the first one, Productivity Simplified. If you didn't see that webinar, check that one out. That was an awesome webinar that Richard Robbins delivered. Really, I mean, especially right now, if you're going, it's been a busy couple of months, I need to stay on top of it, check that one out. So those are my plugs. I want to move things on and get to Richard. So Richard, of course, he's, what can I say? He's a true leader, a lot of integrity. He did, some of you maybe saw, he did a great video recently just on the real estate market, what's going on here, and how to kind of explain it to your clients and say what's happening specific to the GTA. But what a great video, I'll say, Richard. That was such an awesome video. For those who don't know Richard so much, he's from Peterborough. He started working as a realtor at the age of 24. In his first year, earned a 6-figure salary and did so every year of his career. In '89, opened his own brokerage, and through his leadership, inspired his brokers of only 20 agents to achieve the highest production per agent of any brokerage within his trading trading area. And that's really where he discovered this profound passion for helping others achieve their goals. And so that's why we're so excited to have Richard join us today on this webinar, and I'll put things over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Mike. Well, hello, everybody. And Mike already asked me, yes, I'm standing. And one of the reasons I'm standing, I just feel like I have more energy, right? So you're going to get everything I got today. But it's interesting, back when I sold real estate, why do I stand when I'm doing a presentation is I grew up being trained to stand up prospecting. So believe it or not, I used to stand up from 3 hours a day and prospect for business. That's a long time ago, probably 28 years ago, but that's how I got started when I really started to grow the business. So I always believe you stand up, you have more energy. So anyway, listen, welcome everybody. It's always good to be here with everybody from Royal LePage. It's a great relationship we have with Royal LePage. We feel very grateful and very thankful for that. So here's what I want to do today. I'm going to run through some information. I got to go through this fast because I've got so much here, and I was sitting about an hour ago and saying, what can I cut? What can I cut? What can I cut? And there wasn't a lot I could cut. So I thought to myself, well, let's give you a fire hose of information today. Hope you have a pen, hope you have a pencil and a piece of paper to grab some notes. And of course, you can put in your questions to Mike and he'll get those to me a little bit later. So I want to talk about the 5 constant forces that are driving our business, driving the change. But I'd also like to talk, as we move forward, about the 5 areas that I believe you have to master. Okay, so let's look at the 5 constant forces. So what these are things that are going to continually impact the real estate business. Whether we like it or not, whether we like change, don't like change, doesn't matter. These things are going to happen anyway. So we just have to decide, are we going to keep up? But if we want to keep up, what are they? Well, what do we have to be looking at all the time? So the very first one is called economic influencers. So if you look in the GTA here, obviously we got a new fair housing plan that was put in place, about 16 proposals. You look at Vancouver last year, 15% foreign buyers tax. Interest rates can affect our market, oil prices affect our market, and there's a lot of other things as well. Government changes, all of these things can have a major impact in our market and will cause our market to move one way or the other. So what what I encourage people to do is be aware of what's happening. We don't need to fear it, right? Like what's going to happen is going to happen. There's like nothing we can do with that. So there's no sense getting upset. It's like what happened here in Toronto. I'm in Toronto right now. A lot of agents are sort of up in arms about it, but I go, listen, it's done, right? Now we have to figure out how to deal with it, get better because of it. So that's the first thing we always want to keep our eye on. The second is this. I put down virtual reality, but really it's all based in technology. So if you look at what's going on in the real estate industry, technology is transforming our business. It won't be that long, and I think you would agree that buyers are going to be able to sit in your office or sit at home, and they're going to put on a pair of glasses or goggles or whatever you want to call them, and they're going to be able to walk through the house. That's going to be the deal, right? There's nothing we're going to be able to do to stop that. So again, when I bring this up, I sort of challenge you. Are you in the leading edge of technology? Because I think today we don't have a choice but to be in the leading edge of technology. You are all being interviewed 24 hours a day, whether you like it or not. People are going to your website. They're seeing if you got Google reviews on there, Facebook reviews and things like that. So we got to get into that game a little bit. Then the third thing that is going to constantly affect is consumer expectations. So my question to you is, are consumer expectations higher or lower today? And of course, I know what you're thinking or saying. They're higher. There's no question. Consumers expect us to get back to them quicker than ever before. Is proven with online leads that 40% of the time, the first person to get back to them is a person that's going to do the business with them. You know, one time you could get back to them in 20 minutes, then it was 10, then it was 5, and now they say it's 60 seconds. Okay, so the consumer expectations are going to continually to change. They're going to change in terms of what they expect when we list a home. They're going to change in terms of what they expect from us when they're looking for a house, virtual reality being one of those things. Now, all these things are pretty cool. They can make our life pretty wonderful and easier if we can see what's happening and sort of always be in the leading edge of change. Number 4 is attention. I think this is a biggie. I think people today, and I'm going to give you the solutions as well, I'm just sort of pointing out what I see changing. If you think about it, I think it's very difficult to get people's attention today. We are so distracted. Our cell phones keep us distracted. You know, we got notifications turned on. Oh, somebody liked our Facebook page. Next thing, and they're looking at that. I saw a sign that it was on the internet, but it was in Sweden, and they now have, it looks like a yield sign, but what it is 2 people standing looking down at their phone. It's saying yield to people on their phone that are walking. So again, if you can't get somebody's attention, think about this. If you can't get somebody's attention, you can't sell them anything. You know, if you can't get somebody's undivided attention for an hour, it's hard to do, you know, talk about listing their home. If you can't get somebody's undivided attention for a few hours to go look at property, this is all going to be a challenge. So, you know, how do we deal with this? What sort of marketing should we be engaged in to get people's attention? And then the last one is competition. We have more competition today than we've ever had before in terms of other agents. Now, some people would argue there's too many people in the business. I don't believe that's true, because I believe what I love about real estate, it's pure entrepreneurship, which means anybody can really get in. The barrier of entry is relatively low. The financial investment is relatively low, but people can get in this business and make 6- and 7-figure incomes. Now, does that create a lot of people that are not committed to the industry, a lot of people that are maybe a little bit unprofessional, a lot of people that are not trained? Because, you know, Royal LePage doing this is wonderful, because when you got your real estate license, what did they teach you about selling? And the answer is nothing. Right? So it's good that the people that are on, obviously you're the ones that are constantly trying to get better, but we got to understand we have more competition than ever before. There's 108,000 agents right now in Canada. Now, if you do the math on that, that means with 108,000 agents, that means there's 245 people over the age of 19 per one agent. Okay, let me say that again. There's 245 people over the age of 19 for one agent. So when you think about that, you go, everybody's got a brother, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, you know, it goes on and on and on, but almost everybody knows somebody in real estate today. Now, does that mean they're going to deal with them? Not necessarily, but that means we got to figure out how to separate ourselves. We got to be better than the competition. So when I look at these 5 forces, my question always, are these threats or are these opportunities? Because that's the way we got to look at it. When I remember when the fax machine first came out, and I'm dating myself, obviously, but when the fax machine first came out, I remember we're going, what is this all about, right? You know, this fax machine. No. We go see people. We get things signed. Like, is a document going to be legal if somebody faxes over an initial agreement of purchase and sale? Like, and a lot of people go, oh, this is crazy. You know what I mean? That's not the way it's done. But then, see, the people on the leading edge, the people that are growing on a regular basis, they look at technology as something that's wonderful. I think you would agree electronic signatures has made your business easier. It's an absolute wonderful thing. But I think we've got to recognize that some people look at change in the world as a threat and other people look at it as an opportunity. So when I put the question up, are these a threat or an opportunity? The question is, they could be either, depending on the way you look at it. So, for instance, I've had some people come up to me and they go, well, Rich, I've been in the business for 25 years. And this whole social media stuff, I'm now 60 years old and, I'm not really into all that. I didn't grow up with it. I don't know how to do it. And I go, really? Like, really? Like, you didn't grow up driving a car, but you learned how. You got to look at this as an amazing opportunity, but in a lot of cases, people view things as threats. It scares them. Now, I understand that change scares people. There's no question. But I think the secret is to embrace it. Embrace change. Get involved in new technologies. Get involved in, say, video today, which is a big play. Is social media an effective way to communicate with people? We know there's no question. Now, we can waste a lot of time on it. I understand that. But it's a pretty effective way to communicate. So let me get into the 5 key areas that I'm going to recommend that you master. And I believe, I've traveled all over the world doing what I'm doing. We have coached thousands and thousands and thousands of agents. And what I do is I learn from the best people in the industry, and I try to bring that information to you. I try to break it down so it's relatively simple. Because I know this stuff works, okay? It doesn't matter whether I know it works, it's whether you believe it works or not. But anyway, let me give you 5 areas that I think if you master would make an incredible difference in your business. So the first is this. The first is marketing, but I call it innovative marketing. Now, a lot of people go, well, just a minute, Rich. Okay, you're talking about marketing, right? Like, yeah, we get that. We know we're supposed to market. I get that. But marketing is different today, and that's what I mean by innovative marketing. We've got to change with the times. We've got to look at the opportunities we have to market today that we didn't have before and maybe give up on some of the old opportunities. So an example, I live now in Toronto. My family still lives in Peterborough, which is a 90-minute drive from here. I was up to see my mother on Mother's Day. I walked in the house, there was a newspaper sitting on the dining room table. And of course, inside the newspaper was a whole real estate section. And I grabbed this real estate section and I'm thinking to myself, really? In the world we live in today, people are still advertising in the newspaper. And there was a study done a while ago, and believe it or not, in North America, there's actually over $1 billion spent, okay, on newsprint advertising by realtors with a 0.01% return. So people just do it because it was always done. And sometimes they're not even advertising to get something sold. They're just advertising, to brand themselves. And I'm the #1 agent in the world. You get all this crazy stuff going on. So what I'm saying is that I understand, even if you look in the Globe Mail here in Toronto, there's some people still advertise. So I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. What I'm saying is we've got to challenge ourselves. And we've got to ask ourselves, is that the most effective way of marketing? If we're going to spend a bunch of money. So the challenge is when you look at our industry, when I say innovative marketing, our industry today is commoditized. And what I mean by commoditized, I mean that if you think about the buyers and sellers, they think all real estate agents do exactly the same thing. They're thinking it doesn't matter what agent we list our home with to a large degree. We just get it on MLS. The market's hot, the market's going to sell. It's think of a buyer today. Buyers will quite often go on the internet and they will call the listing agent. And when they call the listing agent, they want to look at the home with the listing agent. They don't want to get, work with other agents because they think I might be able to get a better deal, right? So we're commoditized because they're going, it doesn't matter what agent I choose. Now, when anything gets commoditized to a degree, then it puts downward pressure on price or commission. So we have commission compression, where what happens is people will start to say, okay, well, I'll give you a better deal than everybody else because that's what commoditization does. So how do we overcome commoditization? Because we are not a commodity. However, the public looks at us as a commodity. Like, let's be honest. The public thinks they know as much or more than you, generally speaking. That's what they think. So if they think that, well, why are they going to rely on advice from us when they sort of think they know as much? So the trick is to move from commoditization, okay, in terms of marketing, to distinction. Now, distinction is when you get yourself into a whole new place. Distinction is where you start to market in a way that you stand out from everybody else, that you do something that most other people are not doing. And when you stand out in a big way from everybody else, you're recognized. You get people's attention. They see you. It's like, you know, if you look at, say, okay, in this huge crowd of everybody wearing red jackets, as an example, there's somebody standing there with a blue jacket. You'll see that blue jacket, but all of the red jackets just run together. So what I want to do is I want to give you 3 examples of people that I think are doing marketing that I would consider innovative. There's all kinds of ideas we have, but I'm just going to give you a few. So the first one, let me tell you the story. This is Tom's story. Now, Tom's story is a Royal LePager. And Tom, he was actually, or he is, his girlfriend is my daughter's friend. So now they don't see each other as much anymore because they grew up when they're young. Well, we lived in the same street. But what happened was I was out for dinner with my neighbors, okay, and our daughters are really good friends. And of course, Dom's going out with their daughters, So anyway, we're out for dinner and they said, well, you know, Tom has, you know, he knows who you are, I guess, you know, through real estate. And I said, oh, that's really great. Well, listen, he's going to be at our house when we go home after dinner. Would you stop in and say hi to him? I said, sure. So we get home. And when we get home, I sat and talked to him for a while. I said, how long have you been in real estate? He said, about 1 year. And I said, that's great. How many deals did you do last year? And he said, 2. I said, wow, you're a natural. You know, joking. I go, oh, 2 deals. Yeah, way to go, right? Like, and so anyway, I sat and had this conversation with him. I started talking about, you know, well, how did you generate business? How did you qualify leads? You know, do you have a listing presentation, buyer presentation? How do you show property? You know, how do you narrow down the properties they've looked at so they can make a decision? You know, what is your time management? What does a perfect day look like? I went through all these things. And of course, you know, he really couldn't answer them many because he didn't know, because he got a real estate license and he was untrained. So he gets into the industry. He's got lots of energy. He's got lots of excitement, but he has no skill. So anyway, I said, okay, well, you know what we're doing, let's spend an hour on the phone. So anyway, I got the phone the next week with an hour for him, and I took him through some things. I gave him some videos to watch and things like that. And, you know, then he came to our first big event in Toronto, or he went to his first big event in Toronto that we were doing. It was a few months later. You know, then he came to the next event 6 months later. He gets into coaching, you know, it's the whole thing. But listen to this. He went from 2 transactions his first year to 14 in 2015 to 22 in 2016. And as of about a month ago, he was at 13 with a goal of 34. So what I'm suggesting is that all of a sudden he got really busy because he understood there were some better ways of producing results. There was better ways of generating leads. There was better ways of qualifying prospects. There was better ways of showing property. There was better ways of doing a listing presentation to confirm your value. So I've got a little video for you here, and we're going to play it for you, and then I'll talk about why I think this video is brilliant right after. So let's watch the video first.
Welcome back to the August edition of the Story Report, where we talk about the trends and the stats in the Toronto real estate market in 2016. My name's Tom Story.
And I'm Cam Wolfrey, and let's get started. The average sale price was just north of $717,000.
Which is up 15.7% year over year.
Real estate continues to trade at a torrent pace of 10.6%, with the average days on market being 18 days.
There was just under 10,000 active residential listings in August, which is down 37.8% from August in 2015.
Yeah, no change here as it continues to be a seller's market based on primarily the lack of supply.
Homes are continuing to sell at a rapid pace, but how are the condos doing? In August 2016, there was just under 2,000 condos sold at an average price point of $446,000.
This represents a year-over-year increase of 9.8%, which stays consistent with what we've been seeing for the majority of the summer and in the rest of the market.
In the spirit of TIFF, this month's trivia question is going to win you 2 free tickets to the movies.
And that question is, what are the shortest and longest films to ever be shown at TIFF and their directors?
Please comment below if you know the answer.
Thanks for taking the time to watch the August edition of the Story Report.
If you have any questions or comments about any of the stats or the numbers that we went over today, please contact us directly.
Great stuff. So now that to me is distinctive marketing, because what he's done every month he creates. Now he has a number of videos throughout the month. Okay, there are shorter videos that talk about why should you stage your home. But what he's doing when he starts talking about these numbers, he becomes perceived as an expert in the consumer's eye, and it starts to separate him from everybody else. And then he does these videos sort of on a weekly basis that are shorter and might talk about staging or how much do you qualify for a mortgage or whatever the case is. And see what it is, it's very distinctive marketing. Because if you're a homeowner in Toronto, that would be something that would be interesting to you. Now, if you're a homeowner in Ottawa, probably not, and that's fine. If you're in Montreal, doesn't matter, right? Edmonton doesn't matter. But he works in the Toronto market. But the thing is, he's consistent. He does this on a regular basis. I don't know if Tom's on with us today. I hope he is. But if he is, like this kid right here is doing an amazing job. This guy's becoming a marketing genius. And there's all kinds of things that he's starting to do now to start increasing, okay, the number of sales, because now he's bringing in some money, so now he can produce a better result. So there's just one example. Here's another one. Ken Healy used to live in Mississauga, Ontario, moved to Beaumont, Alberta, which is just outside of Edmonton. And when he moved there with his wife, as his wife was transferred, he didn't know what he was going to do, so he decided he's going to sell real estate, start selling real estate. And when he first started, the very first year was 2012. The first 2 years he worked with a new home builder. And he didn't like working for a builder. He wanted to go out on his own. So you can see some of his numbers there. 2014, 24 deals, 2015, 25, 2016, 60. Well, why did he make the big jump? Because he went to a couple of our events, again, got involved in the coaching program, but here's what we discovered. When we went back and we looked at all Ken's business, we sourced all of his business. We said, okay, if you look at your 24 deals from 2014, where did they come from? Well, I had 3 from open houses. I had a couple referrals from people that my wife works with, or whatever the case is. But what we discovered, that a large percentage of his business was coming from Facebook. So we said, well, what's going on with this Facebook thing? You're getting a fair amount of business from Facebook. Well, what Ken had done, which was brilliant, was he got involved in Facebook groups. Okay, so there might be a Facebook group for Beaumont. There might be a Facebook group for the Edmonton Oilers. There might be so he got involved in Facebook groups. And when he got involved in these Facebook groups, what he started to do was he started to obviously engage with all of these people, create relationships. Then he thought, what I should do is bring them value. So we started to work with them, and we said, well, are you talking about, the monthly stats in Beaumont? Are you talking about prices going up, prices going down, months of inventory, the average number of days it takes for a house to sell? And then we said, now you got to take it to another level, because that's one way of bringing value to the group. So they perceive you as an expert, so you're distinctive, you're different. But we said another way you can bring value to this group is, what happened if you did this? What happened if you went out and you created a relationship with a restaurant, a local restaurant? You said to the restaurant, listen, I'm a member of about 15 groups, Facebook groups. They're all local people here in Beaumont, which is a small community. I'd like to offer them a 2-for-1 entree at your restaurant. So what's going to happen is you're probably going to get people you've never had in your restaurant before. You do a good job. What do? They come back, right? So you get access to the people I know. It's like marketing. If they get to come in and they get something basically that I have offered to them, which is a 2-for-1 entree. So it's good for me. And of course, it's good for them because they're getting something of value. That's called win, win, win. And really no cost except whatever the cost is in that one entree to the restaurant, which is a marketing cost. So we started talking to Ken about doing different things like that. And over a period of time, every month he started to provide value. So he'd offer something to everybody in this group. And because he offered something to everybody in this group, what ended up happening was all of a sudden they started to do business with him. Now if you look at 2016, he did 60 ends, but 29 ends came from Facebook groups. 29 ends. That's 30 transactions. If his average commission was $8,000, I don't know exactly what it is, but obviously that's $240 or $1,000 from Facebook groups. So when you look at what Tom Story is doing and what Ken Healy is doing, they're very different. I don't think you're going to see Ken do a lot of videos like Tom because it's not his thing. But he's really good, more introverted. He's really good at sitting and communicating and bringing value to people on Facebook groups. And then what started to happen, they started asking questions about real estate. Next thing you know, he's doing all kinds of business. Now, here's somebody else. This is Darren German. He's out in the West End of Canada. So he's out in Surrey, just outside of Vancouver. And I know the videos, they're a little choppy. That's just because we're doing this over the internet. But if you watch them real time, they're perfect. Now, Darren German, same deal. He gets most of his business through repeat and referral. But what's cool about this, he did 28 deals, 49 and 60. That's substantial growth. A lot of people say, well, I get most of my business from repeat referral, but they're stuck around the same number. It's never improving, right? It's not getting better. Or maybe marginally better. So maybe they're doing 17 and then they get to 18 and back down to 16 deals. But look at his growth. This is amazing growth. So watch this video and then I'll talk a little bit about it.
You're awesome. And because you're awesome, we had such a fun time helping you succeed in your real estate transaction. And now that you've moved on with your new home, we want to make sure your friends and family feel awesome too. We want to help them have an amazing experience when they sell real estate, an experience that makes their lives easier and maximizes the return on the sale of their home. When you help us connect with one of your friends or family, you can be sure they're in great hands. Each time you help us connect with someone you care about that wants to sell their home, you can expect a gift from us in the mail for an all-inclusive movie experience for two. Boom. Done. Stamp it. How cool is that? Because you're important to us and your friends are important to you, they automatically receive an upgraded professional photography package and staging consultation for their sale. You can already feel comfortable introducing us because our homes sold for over 3% higher than the industry average last year. But we are also willing to invest in intelligent marketing strategies proven to help your friends maximize the sale price of their home. And all of this because your friends are our friends. And we've made it easy for you or your friends to be successful. Just log on to german.ca and click on the introduction link on the menu bar. Submit your info, your friend's info, and watch the magic happen. We are here for you, we are here for your friends, and we are here for the long run. Thank you for your trust in us and helping us help you and the people you care about.
Well, I think you would agree that's a really cool video. So a lot of people are afraid to ask for referrals. What a great way to do it. But what Darren has done is he's taken his database, he brings value to his database over 30 times a year. I talked about this in one of the trainings I've already done for you. So it's already recorded. You can go back and watch that. We're not going to talk about that here. But again, this is an added feature. Imagine somebody moves into their home and they get that video afterwards, right? Pretty clear. Right, I think he's done a really good job with it. I think you would agree. So this is distinctive marketing. That will get somebody's attention. It's already proven that there's a 300% greater chance of somebody opening an email that has a video. Like 300%. The numbers are crazy, right? So anyway, you can see videos becoming a big play in the world, but they're just 3 ideas. I could give you 20 of them, right, that we work with our clients on, but that gives you a little bit of ideas to some different ways that you can start to approach innovative marketing, but separate yourself from everybody else. Stand out so that you're not commoditized. People see you as different for some reason, right? And the key is you don't have to do everything, but whatever you choose to do, become really, really good at it. You look at Tom's story, he's coming across as an expert. That is his whole play. He teaches people why you should stage, why you should. That's his whole play. You know, you look at, the second one we did there, he's on Facebook, right? So if you look, he's on Facebook, that's a big part. It's 50% of his business. And then Darren is focused on a few other things, but repeat referral is most of what he's interested in doing. So very interesting how they're doing it differently. Okay, so back to the 5. So the first one is innovative marketing. Number 2 is this. Number 2 we got to master is knowledge and expertise. The consumer thinks they know as much or more than you. I already mentioned that. They're having trouble justifying our value. The reason they're having trouble justifying our value is because we can't have valuable conversations with a consumer where we're telling them something that they go, wow, that's incredible. I didn't know that. Think about this. When you change your words, you change your worth, okay, as a salesperson. So, what are you saying to people that is demonstrating your value? Or what are you showing them that is demonstrating your value? What do you have on your website that is demonstrating your value? What are you posting on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is that is demonstrating your value? And it should be knowledge and expertise. They should perceive you as an expert at what it is you do. So let's go to the next slide here. This is called real estate marketing intelligence. Now, a couple of things I might suggest you do. Mike mentioned it already. I did do a video that has had almost 40,000 views in just over a week. And I talked about, real estate intelligence in the Toronto area. But as of today, I created another video that we'll probably post in the next week. So you can just, link our face or like our Facebook page if you want to get that when it comes up, or subscribe to the blog on our website, whatever you want to do. And I show you exactly how to calculate these numbers. I went into depth on how to calculate the numbers. But what this is here is this is market inventory. So if you look at the screen, you can see at Edmonton in January of last year, they had 8.2 months of inventory. And then you can see the inventory dropped down, and then it was fairly flat, went up a little bit, and then at the end it went back up to 7.2. So if you look right now in Calgary, Alberta right now has right around 3 months of inventory, 3.1 months of inventory. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you have 1,000 active listings on your market at the end of the month, and if you sold just over 3,000, right? That means you have 3 months of inventory, because we sell another 3, we're up to 6, another 3, we're up to 9. So months of inventory is just the amount of active listings you have and divide in the amount of sales, okay? And that tells you how many months of inventory. Now, prices are always going to be based on supply and demand. So if we have low supply, high demand, prices are going to go up. We have high supply, low demand, prices are going to go down. So where's a balanced market? Well, a balanced market is between 5 and 6 months of inventory. So look at Edmonton. January of last year, where were prices going in Edmonton? They were going down. Calgary of last year, where were prices in Edmonton? They were going down. Vancouver and Toronto, where were prices? They were going up. Now, I could have put all the markets on here in Canada, but I think you can see what I mean. But let's say you created a graph like this. And let's say you communicated this type of information, you sent it out to clients, whether it's email, you do a video, whatever you want to do. You use this in listing presentations, use this when you're working with a buyer, and you can show them the trends in your marketplace. Here's how many months of inventory. Here's how many months of inventory we need to have a balanced market. Here's how many have a market where prices are going down. So what happens is, if you look at Toronto, they got 2.1 months of inventory last January, 0.9. So let's say 1 month in December of last year. Well, we know what's going on in Toronto. Multiple offers on everything, right? So that's called market intelligence. So now imagine this. If you're in Calgary today, and if you know they've got 3 months of inventory, and somebody says, oh, we're thinking about selling our house, come on over and see us. You go over and see them, and of course, they think everything's selling. You say something like this, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, just to give you an idea, last month, there was X number of active listings and X number sold, and that shows you that 1/3 of the homes that were up for sale sold last month. That means that 2/3 didn't sell. Now, the minute I said that, have I just told them something they didn't know? And I think you would agree, yes, because they think, oh, my market's decent, you know what I mean? But now they realize that only 1/3 is selling on a monthly basis and 2/3 isn't selling. The next month that the numbers are the same, 1/3 sells, 2/3. How do we get into the 1/3? That's a conversation we need to have with these people. That's when we become valuable to the marketplace. Other ways to do it is we used to have what we call one sheets, and we supply these for our coaching members and everything else. But you can send these digitally. You can take these to open houses. But what it is, it's just got valuable information, right? Like pricing a home right is critical, negotiating know-how, 5 reasons most home buyers choose to work with an agent, and go on and on. And also seller informed guides and buyer informed guides. These are guides that maybe you could create, that you would send out before you're going to meet with a buyer, before you're going to meet with a seller. You print these out, you have these that you're at an open house, keep them in your car anytime. Now all of a sudden, people start to perceive you as an expert because you have market intelligence, okay? So number 1 was innovative marketing, which is hopefully getting us a lead. Then when we get a lead, what we've got to do is we've got to have a valuable conversation by talking about specifically what's going on in the market and sharing our market intelligence. And then number 3, now we got to influence it. So what is influence? Well, influence to me is a definition of selling. Your job as a salesperson is to assist somebody in making a decision that is in their best interest. And there's order takers in the world and there's salespeople in the world. And I believe that salespeople are going to outperform order takers by like 100 to 1. But we've got to be able to assist people in making a decision, and that is influence. And the strongest influencers are always going to be the best salespeople. So right now, in all fairness, I'm trying to influence you on some ideas. So at the end, if you go, hey, that was pretty good, there's a couple of things I could do, that means I was successful in influencing you. Now, I hope you take action in some of these things, because everybody goes, knowledge is power. I go, knowledge isn't power at all, right? Knowledge is only power when you act on it, when we do something with it, when we produce a result with it. So how do you better influence people to make decisions? How do you better influence people to choose you? Well, one of the greatest influences in the world is called social proof. Now, social proof is where other people are talking about you instead of you talking about you. Now, here's what's interesting. 92% of people will accept a recommendation from a peer. So somebody, you say to them, hey, we want to go to a nice restaurant tonight. Do you know anywhere to go? And they go, yeah, go to this restaurant. 92% of people say, hey, I that person. But get this, 70% of people will actually accept a recommendation from somebody they don't even know. So you meet somebody in the street, you're in a strange city, hey, we want to go for a nice dinner, do you know where we could go? And they give you a recommendation. 70% would probably trust those people, even though they don't know them, which is amazing, right? But here's what's interesting. The minute you add testimonials to your website, it has been proven by Google that if you have a website where you're selling, say, widgets, that your sales will increase 34% if they see testimonials. So written testimonials from your customers. Or what about getting Google ratings or Facebook ratings? Because remember I said you're being interviewed 24 hours a day. So if I was to Google you right now, what impression would I get? Like Google yourself, look at everything and say, what impression? And then Google maybe some other people that you don't know are very prominent in your marketplace and compare the difference. Because it is a big deal. I promise you, before you go see a buyer or seller, they've Googled you, right? So the first thing we want to do is how can we get other people, okay, to influence other people for us? Now, repeat referral business, which I talked about, the lifetime referral system is part of that. But I think the bigger part is now on our websites, in all of our marketing, our informed sellers and buyer guides, they should all have testimonials in them. Like everything we do, all of our marketing pieces should contain testimonials today. Because it's called the review economy. I think if you're going to stay at a hotel, you quite often read the reviews. Well, what are the reviews about you, or do you have any? And if you don't, you need to get some, okay? And then the next thing is contrasting images. So again, how do we influence people? Well, contrasting images is another powerful way to influence people. Now, when I say contrast, so let me give you an example. Let's say this. Let's say I said to you, I said, the average agent right now is selling 4 homes per year, and last year I sold 18. Let's say I said that. That's pretty good, right? That's a contrast, 4 and 18. But what if I show you? So what if all of a sudden it comes up and it shows that the average agent is selling, say, 5 homes, okay? And of course I sold 25, and we've got an image for that. See, what you want to do, that right there is a contrasting image. So the same sort of thing, whenever you're trying to convey a message to people, create contrasting images so that they see it, because they're more affected by what they see okay, than what they hear. See, people process images 60,000 times faster. It's quite amazing. That's why now on Facebook, all you see is pictures. Now it's going to video, but you know what I mean? Like Instagram, build a platform just on pictures because people love images. But the other way I think we need to start influencing people is with video. Now, I say this because when you look at communication, so let's do this. Let's look at all of our forms of communication. So one form of communication is, we can, write an email to somebody. That's just text, you know what I mean? Or we text an email. But then what we can do is we can pick up the phone and we can phone somebody. That's another form of communication. Or we can be in person is another form of communication. So what is the quickest way to build trust? The quickest way to build trust is to be in front of somebody, because then you have 100% of your communication skills. So here's an example. The spoken word is only responsible for 7% of communication. Tonality is responsible for 38% of communication. And facial expression and body language is responsible for 55% of communication. So in other words, if I was, just, writing something, that's not necessarily spoken, but it's just words, it's only 7%. But the minute I pick up the phone and I add tonality to it, I now have 45%. But when you can see me, facial and body expression, my communication just went to 100%. So the best way to communicate and influence somebody is in person. The next best way, if you're not using video, is going to be talking to them on the phone. And then the worst way is send them a text or send them an email. However, video is getting huge now, huge. Like BombBomb is a great app. We all should be using it, where you can just create a really quick video. And the reason why is because video gives you the opportunity to use 100% of your communication, no different than we're doing right now. I now have 100% of my communication if you're watching me, right? So it's called the video phenomenon. We've had 100% rise in video consumption over the last 5 years, and I'm going to say that's going to continue to increase. And also, I said a 300% increase in click rates if you add a video to an email. And that BombBomb allows you to do that. So there's some ideas that I think, especially the video thing. I think video is the new play. I really do. I think that what we have to do is we've got to get very involved in video. Now, I know a lot of people go, oh, I don't know about this whole video thing, Rich. I don't really like video. I don't want anybody to see me. I don't look so good in video. And I go, well, come on. You look the same in video, look in person. You still go to somebody's house, right? Right. So it doesn't matter. You are who you are. Embrace who you are. Be more of who you are. You know what I mean? Nobody can beat you at being you. You're perfect just the way you are. Just choose to be that in video. And I think you have an opportunity to even, somebody reaches out to you and they want some information. You could send them back a video. You can do a BombBomb. You hold up your phone, right? And then you send it to them in the email. Amazing stuff. Right? You just leave somebody's home, you gave them a CMA, send them a video after. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity. These are different ways to influence people, okay, that are more powerful than the more conventional ways. Plus, it's distinctive marketing as well. It's making you stand out from everybody else. So consider the app BombBomb. Go have a look at it. Some of you are probably using it. But it's really cool because BombBomb, when you send somebody a video, you can see when they opened it. It sends you a notification that they've opened that video. And by the way, if you're going to phone them as well, when would you phone them? Probably when they open the video, right? Because they're on their phone. Okay, number 4 is this. Number 4 is relationships. And this is interesting because a lot of people have been asking me about technology and online leads. And, do you think real estate is the way it, was? And I go, it's not the way it was. However, relationships are still more important than anything else. Like, think about online leads. I think online leads have put some agents out of business. You get all these companies now that are trying to sell people leads, right? Oh, we'll give you leads. You give us 25%. You pay us so much a month. We're going to give you leads. I'm going, so they have the ability to generate the leads, and then they're going to sell them to us. I go, why don't we just generate them ourselves, right? Like, it's a bit of form of laziness because everybody goes, oh, it just looks so easy. It's not easy because it's hard to convert them, right? Like a rock star online lead converter is only converting 4.4%. The average conversion on online leads is 1.8%. Plus, you got to get back to them right away. But I think people keep looking at this whole internet and they go, well, it's all about online leads. I say, no, it's not. It's more about relationships than ever before. So let me show you what I mean. This I got from Inman last year when I went down to their conference, which is in San Francisco. I go every summer. And look at this. Of the 4 generations, we have the silent generation, which would be my parents, baby boomers, which is me, Gen X, you can see the ages, and millennials. Now, millennials is the biggest generation in history. Baby boomers is the second biggest generation in history. We were the biggest until we all had kids, right? Because our kids are millennials, generally speaking. But found an agent through a referral. Only 31% of the silent generation, 33% of baby boomers, 39% of Gen X. 50% of millennials are finding their agent through referral. 50%. The highest in history. Are relationships important? Relationships are critical to our business. So when I look at these numbers, it becomes obvious to me that millennials are probably spending a lot of time, sometimes 8 to 12 months engaged in, dreaming, searching for houses, but they're not looking yet, right? But they're engaged, they're online. And the number is sort of 8 to 12 months. Others say before they actually start to look. And then they'll spend about 12 weeks engaged in the process of maybe looking at property and actually engaged in buying. Well, if they're going online, right, way before they're ready to buy, which we know they probably will, and then they start to have dinner with their mom and dad. Oh, I was looking at houses. Where are they going to buy next year? Oh, really? They talk to their uncle, their aunt, their friends, their cousins, everybody else. Do you think any of those people they talk to while they're doing all this online research happens to mention a real estate agent to them? Yes, all the time. And then what is the number one quality that a millennial is looking for in a real estate agent? It's trust. The number one quality was trust. So where do you get trust? Well, you get trust because you've been referred. So what I'm saying is that building relationships is going to be more important than ever before, because those people know people that are going to buy and sell real estate, and you want them, okay, to tell the prospects about you. So the lifetime referral system, the one that I taught here a while ago, I think it was about a year ago, if you haven't watched that, it's a whole system that we developed. It's a from start to finish complete system. I recommend you go have a look at that, and I think that'll help you out a lot. So don't lose sight of how powerful relationships are. Number five, and this is the biggie. It's funny, this is sort of the soft one, but I think this is the most important one. Number 5 is passion. And you might say, well, why is that? Because passion drives performance. See, whatever it is we're passionate about, that's what we're going to perform in. See, when we're passionate about something, we think about it all the time. We wake up thinking about it. We go to sleep thinking about it. Sometimes we wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it in a passionate way. And it's not a worried way, right? But we're excited. That's what passion is. Passion is like excitement. It's love. It's something that comes from inside out. But if we're not passionate, well, we're going to try to do the least amount of work and get the hell away from it because we don't want to be there all the time. So when I look, and this was just something I created recently, actually, this whole part of the talk is something that I just created in the last couple of months. When I look at all the top producers, like, I mean, 7-figure producer, high 6-figure producer that we've had the good fortune to work with over all of the years, that there's one thing they all had was passion. They were excited about being in real estate. So I got thinking about it. I said, well, it's interesting because I think there's 4 phases that people go through in real estate. And the first phase is I called the honeymoon phase. And the honeymoon phase is where you just get in the business, right? You know, you're brand new. You have a lot of energy. You're excited. You're not very skilled. You're hopeful. You know, you love the business. You're going to work really hard. You're going to work 80 hours a week. That's a honeymoon phase. But that doesn't last forever. You know, it might last for a year or two. And then we move to the treadmill phase. And the treadmill phase is where there's different characteristics. We get in the treadmill phase. It feels like we're running really fast and we just have to keep up, right? Because we're still a little bit unskilled. We're a little bit reactive. Our business is very people dependent. We don't have a lot of systems in place. And we really haven't developed the skills and the systems and the processes. We just run faster. And then eventually things start to fall between the cracks because we get busier, we start doing more business. Then we reach what I call the crossroads stage. This is an awful place. This is where you're starting to question what it is you do, right? You're going, well, I don't know, you know, maybe I should think about doing something else because you're working 80 hours a week, 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and you're not as passionate about it anymore. So now it's sort of wearing you out. Like Michael Gerber said, your business should be a vehicle to enrich your life, not one that drains the life out of you. And now it's sort of draining the life out of you. And you actually start to think, maybe I should do something else, right? Maybe I should, you know, and then you sort of hang out there and you sometimes don't make a decision, which means you sort of stay in the treadmill phase. But then what happens is when you move through the crossroads, if you make the right decision, you move to what I call the business phase, the business owner phase. And this is the coolest place to be because when you get to this, the characteristics are totally different. I mean, when you get to the business owner phase, what you now have is you now have, systems in place in your business. You're very skilled. You know how to do great presentations. You know how to show maybe 3 to 4 homes before somebody buys. You're taking more time off than you've ever taken off before. Your business is system dependent, not people dependent. A lot of these people obviously are trained and coached by maybe our company or other companies or whatever the case is. But they've decided that they're going to grow a business, and the business is going to fully serve the life that they want to live. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story, and this is another Royal Pager. And this is Peter Brower, and he's out in Atlantic Canada. He's actually in Halifax. And I just love this guy to death. So he started in real estate in 1998. So you can see in 2014, 32 deals, 2015, 54 deals, 2016, he did 54 deals again. I'll tell you what the 0 means in a minute. So Peter was getting a high percentage, almost 50% of his business was coming from a builder. And I was out in Halifax. I got hired to speak out there, and the person who hired me said, you want to go for lunch after we did? Peter came out and joined us for lunch, and he was explaining to me how, he was thinking of getting into real estate. He's almost had enough. He was at the crossroads, right? So I recognized that. And I says, why is that? He started to talk about it and tell me what was going on, and he was frustrated and trying to keep up. And then we got talking with this builder, and I discovered that the problem Peter was having, it wasn't everything else in real estate. He actually loved the business. He just hated the builder. He hated having to show up to a site on a regular basis. He hated having trouble negotiating. He hated the builder telling him what to do and setting the prices on the homes, all those sort of things, right? So I says, well, why don't you build some other lead generating strategies and get rid of the builder? He goes, well, the builder's like close to half of my business. I said, I understand. But if we change that, what would happen? So anyway, he did get involved, and he's now been to 4 of our events. And he created what he calls a trifecta. He got involved in YouTube, Facebook, and a website. Created a really cool website. He had a website before, but it wasn't that good. So he created a great website. Those one sheets I showed you, he's got those on his website. Those informs buyer and seller guys, he's got those on his website. You can download those. He captures the information. He's now doing a lot of video, and he was the type of guy who said, I was never going to do video. He goes, I love it. I can't believe the difference it's made in my business. Now let's go back to 2016. He did 54 deals in 2015, 20 from a builder. 54 deals in 2016, none from a builder. None. You see the difference? Peter said to me, he did a talk at one of our events. He said, I'm like a kid in a candy store again. I said, no, you're a business owner now. That's the difference. Before, you're at a crossroads. You're on a treadmill and you're at a crossroads. But I said, now you're a business owner. So when I think about real estate, I say to people, I said, do you remember, and some of you probably still are, but do you remember how excited you were when you first got into real estate? Remember the first week, the first 2 weeks, the first 3 weeks? You remember that excitement? You remember how hopeful you were? Hope of a better future. It's a powerful force. You just couldn't wait to get started. And sometimes we lose that a little bit, whether the market's busy, the market's not busy, what's ever going on, things in life get in the way. So I look at it and say, I believe there's 3 C's, okay, that we got to master to get our excitement back. And here's what they are. The first is this. The first is we have to make a massive commitment to this business. You don't test this business tests you. So when I look at many of the examples I gave you, they made a commitment and they made change. So if you're already doing great and you're happy, well, that's wonderful. I'm not saying then, but what I'm saying is for those that are not, or for those who want to do more, well, you got to make a commitment. It just doesn't happen. It's just not going to wake up one day and say, hey, things are all better. No. You have to make a commitment to the business. And most people don't make a commitment to real estate. They give real estate a try, and then real estate tries them. I hear people all the time, I'm thinking of giving real estate a try. And I'm going, that's the worst thing you could ever say. It's like saying the doctors say, I'm going to give it a try. Doctors don't say, I'm going to give it a try. They say, I'm going to become a real estate. But the reason we have a challenge making a commitment, because we make a commitment to move forward, it requires what? It requires courage. And courage is, where the challenge is. Now, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is, the acting even despite the fear. So there's changes that you probably want to make in your business and your life, but it requires courage. It's a little scary, isn't it? I remember the first time I picked up a phone to make my first prospecting call. It was a little scary. And then in my life, I made over 100,000 contacts to people, right? I remember the first time I had to do a talk, I was scared, right? Well, now I do it for a living. It's quite amazing. I always say that our dreams sometimes are lying right on the other side of what it is we fear, right? Everything's over there. We just got to have the courage to do it. But here's what happens. When you look at successful people, what do they have? They have confidence. When I look at all successful people, real estate, otherwise, they have confidence. Well, how did they get confidence? Were they born with it? No. Buy new cars to give you confidence? No. Buy new houses to give you confidence? No. What happens is confidence comes from the first two. See, when you make a commitment to something, a great marriage, a great real estate business, getting better physical health, whatever it is, when you truly make a commitment to something, it takes courage because it's not always going to be easy. It'll be worth it, but maybe not always easy. So you're going to go out and you're going to have to do some things that might scare you a little bit. But when you start to do the things that scare you, you start to develop what? Confidence. And confidence is your belief in you. So your confidence is your belief in your ability to produce a result at will. That's what I call that personal power. Personal power is when you know you can go out into the world and produce a result, right? But that requires us to challenge ourselves, to do things, to close, to ask for the order, to phone up somebody that you're afraid to call, to do proper lead follow-up, right? To follow up after a listing presentation, after open house, all of these little things. People can do the easy things, but it's the hard things that we've got to do afterwards that makes all the difference in the world. And when we do that over a period of time, we start to develop confidence. And confidence is the winner. Because people buy confidence. People want to deal with confident people, not arrogant people, right? I'm not talking about egotistical, arrogant people. I'm just talking about this quiet confidence you'd see in somebody else. So what I want to do just before we close this out is just maybe give you an opportunity. We have an event coming up. It's not till the end of November, and I'm just going to tell you about it. But it's called Masters Academy, and it's all built around us finding the best strategies being used by the best agents that are producing results and bringing them to the people in the room. So it's coming up, and it's coming up in November, which is the 27th and 28th. It's going to be in Toronto. We actually have one in Vancouver that's coming up in July, but it's already sold out. Now, we've been doing this 20 years, everybody. 20 years. This is our 20th year. So when I say that, we must be awful good at what it is we do to be around for 20 years. So this is sort of what an event looks like. You see, we have about, 1,000 people there. We have a lot of fun. We rock and roll. A lot of great music. It goes really fast. We keep everybody engaged. So what is the investment? Well, the investment is $698 for the event. That's regular pricing. Now, here are some things that you'll learn at the event, and then I'll talk about what we can do today. So a few things you're going to learn at the event: how to effectively negotiate anything, how to master working with buyers, how to double your referrals, how to take control of your business life and time, social media to generate leads, marketing that matters and makes a difference, how to effectively use video. We have a live listing presentation done on stage for you, breakthrough growth strategies. So our whole goal is to find the best ideas that are being used, and it evolves every year. So every year our event's a little different because we want to give you the new and better stuff. How do we get the information to you? There's three ways. Number one, I teach a lot of it, obviously, but we also have what I call panels. They're called genius panels, and I bring people up on stage that are producing results in an area. They might not be doing everything well, but I want to know, what one thing are you doing that is producing a result? So what is it? What is results it's producing, and how do you do it? That's the three things I want to get out of every panelist. What's the idea? Which we screen them in advance so we know what the idea is, okay? What is the results it's producing? How many deals are you getting, and how do you do it? And then we also have speakers. This is actually another Royal LePage that was speaking in Vancouver last year, Kate Miller. She's on the North Shore in Vancouver. And so she was talking about her ideas. So they do like a 20-minute presentation, which is like a TED Talk. Same thing. What's the idea? What results it's producing? And of course, how do you do it? So here's what we're going to do today. We haven't even started promoting this event yet, okay? And we've never done this for Toronto before. I'm being 100% honest with you. This is for Royal LePage, okay? But what we're going to do today is offer 2 for 1. So if you're interested in going to the event today, we'll offer the 2 for 1, okay? But we can't continue that. But we can do it for today if you're really interested. You could just, call the office. You can go on our website, and if you go in under, actually, we'll show you a little picture of the website, and that way you can just go online and right there, or you can call our office. There's our number, and we can get you all set up. But 2 for 1, and as I said, we've never ever done it in Toronto. This is just for Royal LePage for today. And I know you're thinking, well, you say that to everybody. No, I don't. Okay. Anyway, that's the end of my presentation. Michael, thank you so much. Sorry I took so long, but I knew I had a lot of content.
Yeah, the value is definitely there. And I kind of mentioned before about 5-6 minutes ago, I said, I think we're going to go a little bit long. I'm looking for the questions here. Just again, reminders, people can type in their questions in the chat. I just want to highlight, I'll show people how to get to past webinars that Richard Robbins has delivered. So I'm here at RLP Network. I just want to show you what it looks like, and I'll log in. And under training, webinar training, you're going to find Sales Success Series. And I want to show you just how easy it is with the library that we have now. You'll see it's down here. It'll take a second to load, and then you can just go presenter and Richard Robbins, and you'll see his past webinars, and you can just click to watch now, so you can check them out. So just wanted to share that with you, and then I'll flip back to the questions. Now, I'll be honest with you, Richard, I have a whole bunch of questions myself.
Sure.
So I want to know from you, for one thing, well, just for the people who are on the line, what's a book that you're reading right now?
A book that I'm reading right now is called Originals by Adam Grant.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
great book.
Just throwing it out there for people. I know people like book recommendations, so there you go. I wanted to know also, one of the things that I just did some new agent training, and I think a lot of people were looking for kind of what you were talking about, which is that idea of like, what are you really good at? What are you know, those agents you were saying who are doing the video, marketing, market updates and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, how would you recommend to an agent who started today, because I'll be honest, a lot of them came afterwards and they're like, I'm doing this, and they're getting emails about online lead gen, and I got this person telling me I should work by referral. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So how do you help somebody find that niche that they're good at?
Well, there's two groups of people in the world, those we know and those we don't, right?
Yep.
The first people who go to is the people we know. Always, always, always. So anybody that's new in the business, I'm sure they have a database of people they know. And again, they can go on our website, get the scripts, or they can watch the video that we did here. And you've got to let those people know in your business, and you've got to start asking for referrals, because we showed you that 50% of millennials are finding an agent through a referral. So guess where we should be spending our time, right?
Mm-hmm. So
that's where I always say, that's where you got to start, right there. And then you got to go to people you don't know. Well, now there's all kinds of, there's 14 different ways of generating business with people we don't know. And you got to pick one, and you got to get really good at it. You got to pick the one that you think would suit you. So if I was an extrovert, I would probably focus, maybe doing profitable open houses, which we got a course for. Other people might want to be interested in door knocking if that's sort of their thing. So you always go to the people you know first, then you go to the people you don't know. You don't need to do everything. You shouldn't be the jack of all trades. What you want to become is really good at a few. Own 3 lead generating strategies. That's all you need to start. And there's like 14 of them.
Yeah, and I think it was in the lead gen autopilot, you actually you had the list of all of them. And
right.
Then the other thing that I'll ask in terms of more experienced agents that I've talked to recently, who are, I think, at that crossroads stage that you mentioned. And one of the things that I've heard from them is, I'm okay. I don't mind my business. I'm tired of dealing with other agents who are not as committed as me.
Right.
So, I mean, what do you say to those people?
I say, no matter what business you're in, that's the deal, right? Like, if you become a mortgage broker or you're working in a company, listen, what's going to happen is this: you're going to have coworkers, no matter where you go, that might not be as committed as you. We all need to, my industry is no different. What we need to do is we've got to be responsible for raising the bar. So if I was an agent and I was working with agents, and where am I going to work with an agent? Well, I'm going to work with an agent on an offer. Yeah. Maybe work with them a little bit about going out and looking at property, but really it's working the offer. Well, then maybe I need to engage in helping that agent do a better job. So maybe I need to say, okay, I'm going to be that person's mentor, and I'm going to help them become better at what it is they do, so we can do a better job together. And take that role on, take a leadership role on, because I don't care what you do for a living, you're faced with exactly the same deal.
That's true. Gotcha. And let me see, I have a whole bunch of other questions that I had. I'm looking, I just kind of highlighted again. I think people are probably busy taking notes. I have a page full of scribbles myself.
Good.
In terms of one of the questions I had and I mean, you showed a lot of examples of agents who are they're doing okay business, right? They're doing good business. And then they go to a coaching company and it raises the bar. So I want to know from you, and maybe this is me personally, I want to know, like, what do you think that coaching program is doing that's helping them go so much better? Is it helping them review their ideas? Is it the accountability piece? What do you think is doing that? And
well, there's two things that cause change, right? Learning plus action. So there's, if you think about it, listen, you can learn almost anything you want to learn today on the internet. Go to YouTube, go to Google. So the issue today isn't as much knowing what to do as doing what we know. So in other words, we can find out how to do almost anything. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but you want to learn how to castrate a calf, that's no problem. Go on the internet, right? Like, I mean, anything is available.
I did want to learn how to do that.
The only reason I said that is because I got a buddy that's a farmer. He became a farmer, and I said, how did you learn how to do all these things? And he goes, YouTube. I'm dead serious, right? And I said, you serious? He goes, yeah, you can learn anything. And so anyway, so the big secret isn't knowing what to do. It's doing what we know. So what we do as an organization is, or coaching, or somebody might consider trying to do this themselves, is what you want to do is you got to narrow things down. Agents are busy. I go, busy isn't like we shouldn't glorify busy. Busy's not a good thing. Productive is a wonderful thing. Busy's not a good thing. And they spend time with anybody that can breathe, sort of thing. And no, we got to spend time with qualified prospects. You got to have the courage to qualify. You got to have the courage to say no to some people. So we help them with things like that, so that we want them to be highly productive. So we teach them how to be highly productive, and then we hold them accountable, right? Just by, okay, what are you going to get done in the next 2 weeks? And can you send me an email every day and let me know how you're doing, or what, stuff like that. So we bring a high level of accountability, so they just take more action. And let's think about this. If somebody just did 20% more of the difficult things they need to do every day, what difference would that make in their business? Astronomical. Astronomical. But real estate, for some reason, we avoid accountability like the plague. It's like we don't want to be. It's like we got into real estate because we didn't want accountability, which is interesting, because anybody that works at a high level has accountability. You look at a professional athlete, right? There's a high level of accountability, because it's hard for us to do it ourselves. We all need to be surrounded. I've had a trainer for 20 years. Why would I have a trainer for 20 years? I know how to lift the weights, right? He gets me to show up. That's the deal, right?
Yeah. Nice. Gotcha. Well, I'm still looking. We have a quiet group. I think they're all reflecting on what you said. So I'm gonna invite people just real quickly here. Mention our next upcoming webinar. So you kind of mentioned a couple things that I think are really relevant that we're coming up with. On June 7th, we're going to have on your Building Your Tech Toolkit series, build and establish your Facebook business page. So that's something, you talked a little bit about Facebook and generating leads and those kind of things. And that webinar there is going to help get you started on that. Then we have June 14th, we have Genworth Canada coming in to deliver another sales success webinar. And just to let you know, then in July, we're kind of doing a follow-up to that Facebook business page. We're having an agent who is with Royal LePage Terre Equity, who has done some really viral marketing recently. You talk about marketing innovation. Claude Boiron from Royal LePage Terre Equity coming in and talk about his social media strategy for all you guys. So that's going to be really cool. And other than that, let me just double check. No more questions. No, I think people are just saying lots of great ideas. So I just want to, take a second. Thank you so much, Richard, for your time. I love your webinars, man. I really do. And by the way, I left you a Facebook review while you were talking about leaving a positive.
Thank you very much.
But it's funny because I left it, and one of the first things I said was passion, and then that was the last point you had, and that's what I love your passion on this. That you stood there for an hour talking to a screen and never wavered is awesome. So I want to thank you so much for this on behalf of the audience, and for those of you guys here, feel free to like it and share it with. I think share it with some agents out there who you think could benefit, because I know many of you know that. So thanks everybody for tuning in this month, and we hope to see you next month.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks.